What's up? How you doing? Here we are. It's Monday again, and I was looking at one of my measures. Lufkin. My father had one of these from 1966. The same one, never lost it. His was all broken in and loose, and more brown than this one. 1966. This is a 6-footer. They come in 8. My father had a 6-footer. Then it has a metal measurement here. Adds another 6 inches. Tight spots. My father had his name in here. My father's name and the year 1966. But always look at that. I was like, wow, you've had this a long time. And he never used a tape measure. Never. No matter how long the wall was. Could have been 50 feet, 60 feet. This is how he measured it. He would open this up and then mark off. I had a book when I was a kid, Grover from Sesame Street. Inside that book he was building something, and he had one of these. It was all opened up like crooked and everything. But my father loved this. Never use a tape measure. Victorinox. I highly recommend this knife. Very sharp, razor blade sharp. You could easily take a thumb off with this. Swiss made. Had to buy a sheath for it because it doesn't come with a sheath. Great for cutting big chunks of meat. I have a book here, Coffee Roaster's Handbook. It says brief history of coffee, essential roasting equipment. Anything you want to know about roasting coffee, it's in here. It's got the chemical composition of coffee. It's got the top producers of coffee. Brazil, number 1, 250 million metric tons a year. Vietnam, number 2, 1.6 million. Colombia, 800,000 metric tons. Indonesia, Ethiopia, love Ethiopian coffee. 380,000 metric tons a year. Honduras, India, Uganda, Mexico, and Guatemala. Those are the top countries that produce coffee. So I highly recommend this book. If you want to roast your own coffee, pick up a copy. Coffee copy. I have a funny coffee story that happened about 23 years ago. It wasn't funny when it was happening, kind of annoyed me, but I was in Chinatown, and they had a Vietnamese store. It's still there, market. I went inside, I was investigating, looking at what they had, and on the floor, about this high up, were sacks of coffee beans, big ones, like 25-pounders. And I said, you know what, I think I'm gonna buy one. So I bought a sack of coffee, brought it to the counter, I paid in cash, and I took that on the subway with me, and I went home. No one was home, they were out. And I hid the coffee somewhere in the house. So my parents finally came home, and my mother enters the kitchen, and I can hear her sniffing. And my mother had a nose, still has the same nose, like a bear. She could pick out molecules floating around in the atmosphere and tell you what they were. And she's sniffing and noticing something different about how her house smells. And she's like, what's that smell? Something smells weird in my house. And I go, I don't know what that is. What do you mean? And she's like, I don't know, something different. I go, I don't know. So the next day I went out, and I was out all day. When I came back, I went to find my coffee, and it was missing. I go, did you find a sack? I go, of coffee? She's like, yeah, I put that in the attic. She goes, that's what I was smelling yesterday. That's awful, that smell. I go, it's coffee from Vietnam. It's not awful. My mother's nose can't take any new smell that she discovers after the year 1950. Can't do it. So, coffee went up in the attic. Earlier today, I was watching an episode of Columbo, Lieutenant Frank Columbo, and this was the one with Mr. Rourke being a bullfighter. And of course, Columbo solved it because immediately he knew Mr. Rourke was the murderer, so he would focus on him like a laser beam. But I was watching that episode, and it reminded me. I would watch bull riding with my father, not fighting, but riding. We were big fans of that. Not only did we watch boxing matches, professional, championship, you name it, especially Tuesday night fights, but we also watched bull riding every night. Every night there was bullfighting on. And we loved watching Ty Murray. Ty Murray was our favorite. If Ty Murray was on, it was a special night for us. I miss watching bull riding. I really enjoyed it, and my father did too. I've never been to the rodeo, but on TV I've probably seen hundreds of bull riding contests. Those cars are getting very popular. Those are the Hellcats. Anyway, so bull riding is fascinating to me. These animals are like 2,500 pounds, and you get a little stick man on top, trying to stay on top of that thing for 8 seconds. It doesn't sound like a long time, but 8 seconds on a bull is a long time. I remember watching an episode when I was a kid of the $6 Million Man, and he was at the rodeo, but he was on a horse, one of those wild horses, and the horse was going nuts, but he had to stay on it for at least 8 seconds. So Colonel Steve Austin would squeeze the ribs of the horse with his bionic legs, and the horse would calm down. It was a good episode. But anyway, I'm a big fan of bull riding, and I want to thank Ty Murray. If you're watching this, thank you so much for years of entertainment. We enjoyed watching you, my father and I. I know you're retired now, but for the time you were doing it, and the accident you had, the comeback, that was very inspirational to us. We saw your workout techniques and all that, and we were very inspired. So thank you very much, Ty Murray.